Hi there, my name is Oeun. In today's video, I'm going to teach you an interesting topic. You know what it is? I'm going to teach you clauses. Look at the board with me. Clauses. A clause is a group of words with its own subject and verb. Talking about clause, we always think that it has its own subject and verb. You remember English hierarchies? We have word, phrase, clauses, sentences, paragraphs, and essays. This one only one part of English hierarchy. There are two clauses in English. What are they? Number one is independent clauses. Sometimes it is called main clause. Some teacher call main clause. Some teacher call independent clause. Independent clause, I see. This is independent clauses. Number two is dependent clauses. Dependent clauses, DC. Another name of dependent clause is subordinate clauses. It can be called subordinate clauses. Now, after knowing that there are two clauses in English, one is independent clauses or IC, or it is called main clause. The other is dependent clauses or DC or subordinate clauses. An independent clause has a subject and a verb and can stand by itself as a complete sentence. IC means that it can stand by itself as a complete sentence. It has its meaning when it stands alone. For example, when the holiday season begins, the stores are jammed with frantic shoppers. Which one is main clause in this sentence? So the sentence is called complex sentence. But when talking about complex sentence, we always think of two clauses. One is IC, the other is DC. So what is IC in this sentence? For example, when the holiday season, and without this sentence, do you think that it has a complete thought? No. But if you leave it out, and then take a look at the store are jammed with frantic shopper, can be understood? Well, so the sentence we can stand alone like this is called IC. So this is IC or independent clause. Independent clause, DC or subordinate clauses, the definition is that a dependent clause cannot stand by itself as a sentence. It is only part of a sentence, means that dependent clause cannot stand alone. When it stands alone, it does not have a complete thought. It is not meaningful. Well, look at the example. When the holiday season begins, the stores are jammed with frantic shoppers. On the top here, we can see that the store to the shopper here is the IC, so it can stand alone and it has a complete thought. But this one, if you omit it, then you think of when the holiday season begins, it cannot stand alone. It does not have a meaning. So it is called the DC or dependent clause. One more we call subordinate clauses. Again, clause is a group of words with its own subject and verb. There are two clauses. One is independent clauses or IC. Another name of independent clauses is main clauses. What is IC? IC means it has a subject and verb and can stand by itself as a complete sentence. It means that it can stand alone and it is meaningful. How about DC or dependent clauses, DC or subordinate clauses? Subordinate clauses cannot stand by itself as a sentence. It is only part of a sentence. It means that dependent clause cannot stand alone. It is not meaningful. Today I'm going to tell you more about dependent clauses. So look at the board with me. Okay. Dependent clauses or subordinate clauses, the same thing, right? Some teacher call subordinate clauses and some teacher call dependent clauses. I prefer dependent clause or DC. Definition of dependent clause. A dependent clause, although it has a subject and a verb, cannot stand by itself as a sentence. It is only part of a sentence. In addition, it means that when you are talking about dependent clause, it cannot stand alone. When it stands alone, it lacks of meaning. It is only part of a sentence. It can stand depending on main clause or IC. There are three types of dependent clauses. What are they? Number one is adjective clauses. Number two is noun clauses. Number three is adverb clauses. Some students, especially EFL students, feel confused with this. When the question is how many clauses are there in English, their first answer is there are 3 clauses in English. So it means that they are confused with this answer. How many type of clauses are there in English? There are 2 clauses, IC and DC, dependent clause and independent clause, or main clause and subordinate clause. When the question is how many type of dependent clause are there, here the answer is there are 3 type of dependent clauses. One is adjective clause, number 2 is noun clauses, and number 3 is adverb clauses. So noun or adjective clause, noun clause, adverb clause are from dependent clauses. They do not come from clauses. Actually, clause have 2, dependent and independent. Dependent have 3 more: adjective clause, noun clause, and adverb clause. Look at the example. Sam, whose wife is a nurse, work in a bank. So whose wife is a nurse here is adjective. Adjective clause. The man whom you love is from the UK. The man whom you love from the UK. So whom you love from the UK is adjective clause. So we have 2 examples of adjective clause. One clause with comma, the other without comma. I'm going to teach you more about adjective clause. So don't forget to watch adjective clause in detail. Alright. Noun clause, I think that you should work harder. So I think from that to work harder is noun clause. Subordinate is that. Can you tell me where you live? Where you live here is noun clause. Start with WH. Yeah. It's a clause marker or subordinate. We don't know if you work in a bank or not. So it's a noun clause. You can see 3 examples of noun clause. Okay, now adverb clause. Example of adverb clause, we can: if I had a lot of money, I have the poor in my country. So if is a subordinate. So from it to comma here is called adverb clause. You know, if adverb clause of what? Adverb clause of condition. As soon as I arrive home, yeah, it is adverb clause. As soon as is subordinate or subordinating conjunction. So you know what clause is it? It is adverb clause of time with a subordinate as soon as. Again, dependent clauses or subordinate clauses. Definition is dependent clause, although it has subject and a verb, cannot stand by itself as a sentence. It is only part of a sentence. It means that dependent clause cannot stand alone. When it stands alone, it lacks a meaning. It is not really meaningful. Dependent clauses are divided into 3 clauses. Number 1 is adjective clauses. Number 2 is noun clauses. Number 3 is adverb clauses. Adjective clauses, here we have 2 examples of adjective clause. One clause with comma, the other without comma. Yeah, for noun clauses, we have three examples of noun clause. One is that clause. Number two is WA noun clause, and number three is if or whether noun clause. And adverb clause, we have two examples here, only adverb clause and of condition and adverb clause of time. But adverb clause have more than two adverb clause. It can be 9, 10, 11, 12 or something like that. But if you really want to know more about these three types of clauses, don't forget to wait for more and more video about the first. I'm going to teach you adjective clauses. After adjective clauses, and then I'm going to teach you noun clauses, and after that I'm going to teach you adverb clauses. So all these three types of clauses are going to be taught to you later. Well, this comes to the end of my presentation, and from now on, don't get confused anymore. Clauses have two dependent and independent clause, or main clause and subordinate clauses. Dependent clauses are divided into three clauses. One is adjective clauses, number two is noun clauses, and number three is adverb clauses. This comes to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching my video. See you later. Bye bye.